Good afternoon and welcome to one more webinar from Telerik India. My name is Lohit Jian. I work as a technical evangelist with Telerik in India. I'm also Microsoft MVP in the area of ASP.NET and IIS, and that's my official email ID, lohit.nagaraj@telerik.com. And my Twitter ID and couple of website address have been given. So if you want to know more about Telerik, you can go to www.telerik.com. If you want to know our webinar schedules, you can check your chat window. We have a link pasted there, or you can go to www.telrichelper.net. That's where we normally put up all our schedule. So good afternoon to wherever you're joining us today. And today we're going to be talking about how to integrate basically Azure mobile services with Telerik platform. So I don't have much of slides, rather I wanted to spend more time on the code. So I'm going to take the help of the websites that we have, like one from the Microsoft, and then we have our own Telerik platform overview page on our global website. So I'm going to just be going there and then kind of talking about what exactly these two pieces. So um, Azure mobile services and then Telerik platform. So that is what we're going to be looking at. And then finally, what I will do is I'll dive into the code, create a hybrid mobile application, but that hybrid mobile application will connect to the Azure mobile services, and we'll see how to create a simple to-do app. No mobile app is done with a to-do app, so it's like the hello world of the programming in the mobile application. So everybody does to-do. So just to prove a point that this is how simple and this is how easy it is to be it takes to work with our Telerik platform and maybe any other services, I want to again base it on to-do app. So we'll kind of take a look at that. Now, coming back to Azure mobile services. So first, let's understand what exactly is Azure mobile services. So as you know, Azure is Microsoft's cloud offering. They have public offering and then they have the private offering. So basically it's known as public cloud and private cloud. Only difference being when you say public cloud, you are actually going into a browser, typing manage.azure.com or portal.azure.com. So that means you did not host the Azure in your data center, rather it's done by Microsoft. So that's the public cloud. You are on the Microsoft infrastructure. So Microsoft provides you certain services. Mainly on Azure, there are three kinds of services that you can get. One is the IaaS, that's the infrastructure as a service. So Microsoft will give you a way to create a VM. That's it. You click a button, you get a virtual machine on the cloud, and inside that you can do whatever you want. You install Windows or you install Linux. You take care of yourself. And the next category is PaaS or PaaS. That's the platform as a service, which I like most because I don't have to care about any infrastructure at all. All I tell Microsoft is, hey, I want to create a website. So here is my here is the code for my website. You figure out how do you host it. So this is a .NET application. And with one button click, they're going to go and then create a virtual machine under the hood. Inside that virtual machine, they create Windows OS. They install the Windows OS. On the Windows OS, they install the IIS, and then they take my code and they go and then host my code in the IIS, and then they make sure that somebody else can ping that. So that is what platform as a service is all about. I do not worry about the infrastructure. That's taken care by Microsoft. What I tell Microsoft is, hey, I have my code. I want to host this on your platform. Depending on what you want to do, there are different platforms as a services. I'm mostly associated with web apps. So basically, whenever I have to host a web app, I just take this particular service called Azure Web Apps, and I tell Azure Web App that, hey, here's my code. I want you to host it, and they do it. So if you want a database as a service, so there is SQL Azure. So that's again a platform as a service. You do not have to worry about where is the database server, where do you create the database and all. You just come in, enter bunch of things like what should be the database name, what should be the user ID, password for that, the admin user ID and password. Click a button, you get a server, a database, everything done under the hood. So that's another example of platform as a service. And then you also have mobile services. So that's again a PaaS, meaning I want to create a mobile application, and I want a backend for my application, right? typically if you're creating any mobile application, you would want to store your data center at a central location, so that if even if the user lost his this handset or the device, or he wiped his device and then now he again installs your application, he should get going with wherever he had stopped, right? So that's why you typically store data central in a centralized manner, and you don't store the data on the device itself. Yes, for offline capabilities, you cache the data on the device, but you don't store it on the device. It's always stored centrally, somewhere. So typically, what's the things that you need? You will need a database, and you will need to write the service for that, right? Because if you have a database hosted somewhere in Azure, right? Azure has a lot of data centers. I keep putting it on Southeast Asia, which is, I believe, in Singapore. And so if your database is in Singapore, how do you access that database, or how do you access your data, right? So typically in the industry, you go ahead and then create a web service. So now here is where the effort comes into in a picture. That is, you got to sit, write the full CRUD database service, or the web service, right? So with Azure Mobile Services, what Microsoft is trying to do is it tries to kind of take you one step ahead. That is, hey, you don't worry about service at all, writing service and all. You just come in, create the database, and then we will take care of rest of the things. So when I say rest of the things, the moment I go in and then create a table, they create these services for me automatically. So immediately I can access that data from my mobile application. So that's how quick it can get with respect to Azure Mobile Services. So typically the Azure Mobile Services is called, or is termed as mobile backend as a service. So that's the industry terminology that we typically use. It's known as MBAS, or mobile backend as a service, because it's more suited towards the mobility or the mobile application, but it doesn't stop you from using it in a web application. If you are not worried about too much of relational or anything, but you just want to quickly get going, you can always use mobile services as a backend, create a table, and then they have SDKs, or the client SDKs as we call it, to work from, to ping your service or ping your Azure mobile backend from JavaScript to .NET to Java to the Objective-C. So they have pretty much all the SDKs available. What you're seeing on my screen is actually the documentation center for Azure Mobile Services, and there are three pretty good videos that are available. By the way, if you're not heard of Azure Friday, I kind of encourage you to go check out friday.azure.com. That's actually a show that is hosted by Scott Hanselman. Scott Hanselman is a principal program manager on the ASP.NET and the tooling team, ASP.NET team. So he hosts this show called friday.azure.com. These are all quick 10-minute videos which cover the whole aspects of Azure, starting from a simple what is Azure to as advanced as how does Azure Mobile Services work. Those kind of simple 10-minute developer oriented video. This is not a sales video that a show that they do, but rather it's more of a developer. That's why I like, I keep going and then looking at these videos. And the guys who are coming on this shows are actually the engineers who work in the Azure team. So you get the first-hand information here. So there are a couple of videos. I don't want to get too deep into this. I just wanted to let you know what is Azure Mobile Services. So in a layman's term, it's a backend for your mobile application. Now, the second piece of today's webinar is Telerik platform, right? What we have done here at Telerik is we have a complete mobility platform that we give you, pretty similar to Azure, but we have a couple of things which are more catered, more suited towards just mobility. Azure is a big ocean. It has infrastructure as a service, it has software as a service. You can actually go and then take Active Directory as an software as a service. Azure Active Directory is a software, and that's available to you as a SaaS model on the Azure. So they have different things, but with the Telerik platform, it's mostly catered towards mobile. You don't want to go, you don't want to use Azure for complete mobility. You can actually take a look at Telerik platform if you're interested. So what we give you is we start from prototyping to application building to again, we also have our own backend. It's known as Telerik backend. It used to be Telerik backend as a service. Then we also give you analytics. So if you go to this page, if you go to www.telerik.com, click on products, you will see this mobile app development Telerik platform. So that's pretty much what you can do is somebody is asking, could you please post the URL for the Friday Azure session? Oh, it's simple. Just go to a browser and say friday.azure.com. So that will lead you to that particular page. As you can see here, it directly goes to Azure Friday. And in fact, tomorrow PST time, that's US time, I believe they will have a live show going on. He records it live. Okay, so coming back to Azure Mobile's Telerik platform, what you can do is you can go to telerik.com, click on products, click on Telerik platform, and then you will land into the overview page. And this is pretty neatly done. If you see here, we kind of accelerate each step of your mobility journey. I try to call this as the mobility journey, like prototyping, developing, backend, analytics, for measuring, and then feedback, and then deployment. So these are our different journeys that you take. So if you see here, it's actually zero installation platform. If you ask me, you can directly go to platform.telerik.com and then you can finish the complete application right inside a browser. You don't have to install anything. You create your app, you run everywhere. And then this is what I was talking about, every step of your mobile project accelerated. So if you take if you look at the diagram that we have here, that puts it out very neatly. You design your app, then you build your app, then for your app you need a backend, so you connect with your backend. Then of course, if you're very serious about your testing, like I want to make sure I'm building the quality product, so you will have a testing. So we give you a test cloud. And then of course, once you're done with your design, build, connect, test, you will have to you'll have to deploy it onto certain devices or marketplace. So the deployment is one key aspect of your mobility journey. Then once that is done, you got to manage your app. So for maybe you don't want to put your app onto public marketplace, but rather you want your app to be available to only selected employees in your organization. So what do? You need a secure container which is not open for public. So that's the manage piece of that. Once all this all done, I want to measure how my application is doing. In my mobile app, I have 10 pages. How many people are going into each page? What is the user count for each pages? How many time? What is the time a user is spending on a very particular page? These kind of metrics. From where are the users coming to my application? So maybe your app is a hit in Europe's, but you're not getting any traffic from India. You're not getting any traffic from US. Maybe. Yeah, this is a metrics that you need to know. Maybe the application features are suited to European market, so now there you have a lot of people using that. Oh, okay, so that means we got to look more on the European market for features. Let's put more of it. So these are the metrics that you will need to collect in your applications. So I call this as the mobility journey, right? Design, build, connect, test, deploy, manage, measure. And our mobile platform, or the Telerik platform, provides you cloud services for each of these pieces. We have a prototyping tool for design. We have an integrated development environment called as App Builder for building mobile application. We support hybrid mobile applications and we support native mobile application. Hybrid mobile application is nothing but you use HTML, JavaScript, and CSS to create your app. So we have Kendo UI mobile suite, which can you build once. So you create once, you write once, and then it runs on pretty much all the platforms that you can know of. Then for the connect, we have Telerik backend. We give you a complete backend as a service. You come in, you create a table, you click on save, and then we will give you the services. We also give you user management. We also give you file management. We also give you the push notification, emailing. So you name it, whatever is required for a backend as a service, we provide it to you through the connect. For testing, we have Test Studio Mobile, which will, Test Studio is our testing tool, and then it will help you to record and automate your mobile testing. So that's what you can do. And then we also have Test Cloud, meaning you write a test case, and then you can make use of our Test Cloud and say like, hey, I want my code to be tested on iPhone, iPad, Android phone, and then even an Android, there are different phones, right? So there are different versions. So you can actually come in and then say, hey, I want to pick and choose what OS my app should be run for testing. And finally, we'll give you the result saying like, okay, it ran on all these machines and then the devices, and you had problems on so and so device, or no, it worked everywhere correctly. So we give you that. For managing, we have something called as App Manager. App Manager is like your own private Google Store or private Apple iTunes or private Windows Store. So if you are an organization, let's say you have 25,000 employees or something, and then what you want to do is you want to develop a mobile app, but that mobile app should be available only to your 25,000 employees. You do not want to put your app onto public marketplace. For example, if I build an app, put it on Google Play Store or Apple iTunes, anybody in this world can go download that. If they go search for, if they're searching for something on the store, they found out like, what this app is available. Okay, let me download it. So they can download that. Maybe you don't want to do that. So what we give you is something known as App Manager, and you just have to push your APK or the iPhone package or the Windows Phone package onto our App Manager, and your employees, all they need is we provide our own small companion app for App Manager on Android, iOS, and Windows Phone. So you just download that, and you log into your App Manager using the credential that has been already set by your admin. And if you are permitted to install an application, the container on the phone will show that, hey, you have an app, you can install it. So you go ahead and then you install that. So that's as easy it can get for private containers. It's a very fantastic feature that we have in terms of the App Manager. And finally, measure. So we have for measuring what we call as Telerik analytics, and you can analyze your hybrid mobile apps or your native mobile apps using our analytics service. So we give you a portal, and you have to instrument your application with 2 lines or 3 lines of code. Basically, this instrumentation is nothing but in each page I want to track a particular feature. Like you can say like track time or track this feature or whatever it is, and then our analytics monitor will send data back to the portal, and you log into your platform. There's a analytics project available, so portal available. You just go in, and then you will be able to see the complete data coming onto your dashboard. Right, so that is what we have mobility in terms of mobility. What I'm going to be focusing now today is something called as App Builder, because we are not going to use Telerik backend today, because the whole premise of this webinar is maybe you have already invested in Azure mobile services as a backend, as a mobile backend, and you want now to use Telerik platform because we give you a fantastic IDE to build the hybrid mobile application, and you want to integrate these two. Now you want to use Telerik platform to build a mobile app and connect to Azure mobile services. So that is the whole problem statement for today's webinar. I will be creating I'll be using something known as App Builder. App Builder is our IDE for developing hybrid mobile apps or native mobile app. What is a hybrid mobile app? Well, hybrid mobile app is nothing but a mobile application which is developed using HTML as the UI, JavaScript as the code, and CSS for styling. So that's a hybrid mobile app. Whereas a native mobile app is something that you develop using native technologies like Visual Studio and C# to create Windows Phone apps, Objective-C and Xcode to create iOS apps, Java and Eclipse, or I think nowadays it's Android Studio. So you have Android Studio and Java as a language to create a native Android app. But whereas, so now the problem not many people understand this, but the problem that you get, native is not bad. Native is the one that you need if you need a very good experience of your application on the mobile device itself, right? But there is a inherent cost with native apps. What is it? I want to build an app, but that app should be available on what do you call the Android, iOS, Windows Phone. It's the same app. It's the same features that the app has. But since I want to go native, since I want to have that power of that native, whatever the nativeness gives me, uh, I need to now have three different source code base. And not only that. Um, Basically what you will do is you will end up with writing three different source code, and any changes to your application needs three times updates, three times the effort and all those things. So I'm not against native, but there are situations wherein you may not be needing the native platform at all. What you can do is you can go with hybrid. Why? Because hybrid mobile applications are pretty cool. They help you reuse your skills. That is, HTML, JavaScript, CSS. Well, you can build a mobile application. Not only that, the hybrid mobile application, when you write, you can write once, and you just package it differently for different platform, right? The same code can be packaged as an APK. The same code can be packaged as an iPhone. The same code can be packaged as a Zap, right? So that's the benefit of hybrid. Nowadays most of the browsers in the device are blazing fast, and the device itself has like octa-core with pretty good RAM. So yeah, you can take a look at this. So of course it all depends on the functionality. If you're building a game, I would say don't go hybrid. It has got to be native. But if you're building a simple app wherein there's a data entry, data in and out, so well, yeah, instead of spending three times the effort, you can always go with one time, build a hybrid app, and then go ahead. So what we provide you as part of Telerik platform is an IDE called as App Builder. I will be using App Builder Windows client, meaning uh, the Telerik platform, as I mentioned some time back, is a zero installation platform, meaning you can directly go to platform.telerik.com, and everything can be done on the browser. Even developing a mobile application can be done on the browser. You don't need to install anything. So now I'm going to be logging into my platform account. I already have it. If you need one, all you need to do is just go to platform.telerik.com, and if you scroll down, there is a sign up now. We give you 30-day free trial, and you get to experience the complete Telerik mobile platform for 30 days. And after 30 days, we'll put restrictions like, you cannot build and all those things there. So now let me log in and then show you the platform. So I'm going to create a new workspace here, and I will say hybrid app, start from a blank app, and I will say Zumo integration. Well, by the way, Zumo is a code name that was used for Azure mobile services. It's a cool thing they've done. So they have taken ZU from Azure, and then mobile services they have taken MO, and then they internally started calling it as Zumo. And then I like the name, so I still want to call it by that name. So I'm going to say create app. And as you can see, what I did now was I just created my workspace, or we call it as app. So app is nothing but a workspace. And now it asks me, what do you want to do? Do you want to create App Builder Hybrid? Do you want to create a backend? Do you want to create an analytics? Do you want to create a feedback project, right? So that's what this is all about. So I'm going to keep it as is and then come back. The app builder, or let's do this. So let me go and then create an app builder. So if you see here, we let you choose different project templates. There's a blank template, there's a Kendo UI dryer template, there's a Kendo UI blank template, tab strip, TypeScript and all those things. Or you can start from a sample project. We package a lot of sample projects, as you can see, airlines, coffee house, a lot many. There is core API demos, there's advanced API demos. You can pick up anything. And you can actually start with Screen Builder also. So Screen Builder is a new service that we have deployed onto App Builder without writing any code. With just visual changes, you can build a complete mobile app. Now you can come in and say, hey, I want to create a screen, and that screen is of a list view, and the list view item should be like this, and I want you to use this particular service. any JSON service, or we integrate with our Telerik backend itself. So without writing code, you can actually create a complete screen within just minutes. Okay, so for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select choose project template, and then I'll say blank Kendo UI blank, and I will call it Zumo to do or Azure mobile to do. Okay, so I'm just creating a hybrid mobile application template now. I just said create me a project. So notice I'm on IE, and then I pretty this actually. So there is a concept of simulator. The simulator works only in the Chrome because we use the Chrome WebKit. Um, so this is what it is. Your whole browser is converted into a IDE. What you are seeing on the right hand side is actually the solution explorer. I'm seeing all the folders, files, everything. And as you can see here, I can add a new file, new folder, existing file from the archive. I can run. So I can now go ahead and then run it as a, let's say, iPhone. Okay, it won't run here. Let's see. The simulator is a WebKit base, so it works very well on the Chrome. Okay, we are coming up on even the IE now. And of course, you will see nothing because I said blank. So there's go. It's a blank. It's a clean slate. There's nothing as of now. Okay. So what I'm going to do is this one way, but I am on Windows platform. That is my OS is Windows. So on Windows, what we have done is we have what you call a Windows client for App Builder. So let me launch the Windows client now. I'm launching it. Just give me a second. So as you can see, it says launching application. It's on my other screen. Let me get it here. There you go. So this, what you're seeing now is the Telerik app builder Windows client. Whatever we created on the browser, that's the browser version of our app builder. We also have this concept of a Windows client, meaning you can download this as a Windows application and then start with it. So it already knows who I am. If you see here on the right hand side, it says Lohit GN. I can log out and then log in. So typically when you install for the first time, it won't show you this screen, but rather it will ask you to go and then log in. Once you log in, you can do this. So remember, I created a workspace called Zumo integration, right? So let me come back here and then scroll all the way down. No, it's not got it. So let me refresh. Uh, where did it go? Yeah, there you go. So Zumo integration. This is the workspace that I just created on the browser, right? And then when I log into my Telerik App Builder Windows client, I'm able to see that. That's the integration that we have done, right? And then notice that we just created a hybrid mobile application project known as Azumob to do. So I also have that. So let me open that. On the browser, what you see was on the right hand side, you have the project navigator, add, run, version control, publish. The same thing is available here too. Add, save, run, version control, publish. So I like this rather than the browser, but the Windows client is available only on a Windows platform. We also have integration with Visual Studio. If you're a Visual Studio and then you want to build a hybrid mobile application, we give you app builder integrated with Visual Studio. Maybe if time permits, I'll showcase that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and then do something that is, we have a latest update of Kendo UI, and by default, um, our project template puts a older version, which is 2014.1, but whereas we are in 2015.2. So I'm just going to go and then install that. It's just a clicking and then doing an install, and that's it. I'm done now because we have released a new theme, and then that looks fantastic on a mobile application. Can we create a native app for Android and iPhone using C# without using Telerik? Yes, you can. You can do that. But what I'm talking about here is hybrid. So we give you this ID and everything. So now you'll see what this hybrid, this ID can do. Now, what I have to do now is I need to go and then first create an Azure Mobile Services backend, right? So let's go get going to the Azure side of the things now. As I said, if you want the more information on what exactly is Azure Mobile Services, how do you do everything? So there's a documentation center on the left hand side. You can see, like, getting started with Windows app, Android, Xamarin, iOS, all those things are there. What I'm going to do now is to showcase to you how to create a mobile services. So I'm currently, I have a Azure account. As you can see here, it knows who I am because I have my Azure account set up. If you want to follow along, you will need to go create a Azure account, and then it can be just a trial account. I think they give you again a 30 days trial for Azure, and you will need a live account, meaning Hotmail or live.com or live.in, any of these web email IDs to create a Azure account. Once you're done with your Azure account creation, just log in, and you need to go to manage.windowsazure.com because mobile services is currently available only in this old portal, as we call it. This is the old portal. The new portal is at portal.azure.com, but this is manage.windowsazure.com. I'm not talking about a new service called Azure Mobile Apps because that is still preview. It's not a general GA. But the Azure Mobile Services is GA, so you can go to production with Azure Mobile Services. The Azure Mobile Apps will take some time to become a GA, generally available. So you, on the left hand side, if you see here, there's a mobile services. Click on that, and the right hand side shows you this. I already created one, so let's go ahead and create a new one. For creating a new one, what you need to do is, on the bottom there is this plus sign. It says new. So click on new, click on compute, click on mobile services, click on create. So now I'm going to say Azure Mobile To Do. That's the URL. So your backend will be available now at azuremobtodo.azure-mobile.net. So that's the complete URL. So what I'm going to do is, I already have an existing, or let me go ahead and create a free 20 MB. Yeah, so there's already a free existing SQL database that I was playing around. But as you can see here, it says use an existing SQL database, or create a free 20 MB SQL database, or create a new SQL database instance. So difference between free 20 MB SQL database to new SQL database instances, like as you can see, it's 20 MB. It's a very small database, enough for demos and all those things. But if you need a full-fledged database backend, you can always go in and say new SQL database instance, and then it will create it. So I'm going to say use existing database. I want to create my mobile service in East Asia, and I will say the backend, that is what kind of code. If I want to do a server-side coding, what language do I want to use? I'll keep it as JavaScript for now. And as you can see, you can do a push settings also here. Database and mobile are not in the same region. Where did I create my East Asia? No. Let me see. No, it's not the region. East US. No. Where did I create? Let me check. I think West US. Southeast Asia. No, I'm going to take East Asia, and I will put this guy to East Asia. So basically what it's trying to say is, hey, I'm trying to create a mobile service container, and you would put the container to be in some other region, but your database that you have already created is in some other region. So typically they need to be together. So now if you see here, the moment I selected the East Asia, it kind of said, okay, fine. So login name, I'll give this, and I'm going to select this. So it's trying to create my mobile service now. So what I'm trying to do is, I'm creating the mobile service now, and then that mobile service is connecting to an already existing SQL database. That's fine for my demo purpose. But if you are going production, you will typically create a new SQL database instance for that particular service, and then you connect both of them. So as you can see now, what is happening is the Azure is going ahead and creating my container. It's basically creating the service now. So let's wait for it to come back. Or what we can do is I've already created the service here. It says Telerik platform demo. So I'm going to get inside. So once you get inside your what do you call the mobile services, this is how you the interface is. It is asking you, hey, what do you want to do? Which platform do you want to connect to the mobile services from? Do you want to create a Windows platform, or iOS, or Android, or HTML, JavaScript, Xamarin, or PhoneGap? If you see here, getting started, create a new PhoneGap app, right? So when I click on that, it gives you complete rundown as to what you need to do. You need to get these tools, then you need to create a table. So I already done this step called create to do item table. So there's already a table created. So you click on that, they will automatically create a table for you, and then you can download a PhoneGap personalized project, meaning this project will have all the integration with PhoneGap, and then the JavaScript SDK that Windows service, the Azure mobile services will provide you. So there's a deviation that I'm going to do, that is I will create the table, but I won't download this project because we will be using Telerik app builder to do a couple of stuff. If you click on data tab, this is where it will show you the table, and as you can see here, it says there's a table called to do item. I can click on this and it will show me all the data that are there. There you go. So I already created 3 data. I was just working, and then I created 3 data. So I can, what I can do is go in, remove this, and I will delete that record, and you will see that it's gone. And then I will remove this also. Okay, so currently we have one table, and that table has a column called text, and then it has a flag called complete, and then I think somewhere I created another column called completed, so that's fine. I was playing around. I don't know what I've done, but the point here is you have a table called to do item, and then it has all these columns, right? Um, One of the features that Azure Mobile Services provides you is you can access your Azure Mobile Services backend via a REST API, and or you can use the JavaScript SDK that Microsoft provides. So we can go anyway. So what I have done is I'm going to be using Kendo UI. That's our hybrid mobile application framework. So Kendo UI has a very fantastic object known as Kendo UI data source, and Kendo UI data source can connect to any REST API. As long as they're sending data in JSON format, it can just directly go invoke that particular data, get the data, bind it to our control. So that is what I'm going to be using. I will not be using the Azure Mobile Services JavaScript SDK. So when you click on Azure Mobile Services and you click on your particular, you'll be taken into this particular page where you can actually download this existing PhoneGap app. If you see here, here, create a new PhoneGap app. If you download this, it already has all the JavaScript SDK that you require. They package it and then send it to you as a zip file, and then you can start working. But I don't want to do that. The point I'm trying to do here is I come in here to Azure, create a mobile backend, Azure Mobile Services backend, and create a table. So that's what I've done. I already created to do item, and I have a table. I mean, I have one single row as of now. Now, another important thing that you need to note is you will need to go to your dashboard and you'll need to get this key here. So let me show you where to get the key. The easiest one, API. Let me check. I think this is the API, meaning, yeah, there's no custom API. That means I can create a server-side custom code. And where are my keys? App setting, no, not here. Cars. Uh, Identity. Just give me a second. Yeah. No, these are for the identity settings. App URL. So if you see here, Windows Active Directory. Now, let me show you another easiest way. What you need to do is click on mobile services on the left-hand side, and once your mobile service is listed on the right hand, click on this particular arrow mark which says right, and then you will be taken into this particular screen where it is talking about connect to an existing phone gap or add a new. So if you click on connect to an existing phone gap, notice here it has done something. It says CWTG IMO blah blah blah. So this is the API key that you need, and the way you communicate with REST APIs of Azure Mobile Services is through this key. You need to send this key every time whenever you make a ping. Okay, so let me show this. Now we have this backend called as telplat demo, and I'm using Postman here. So Postman is just a client, simple kind of a REST endpoint testing client, right? So what I can do is, so uh, here is how the REST API looks like. Telplat demo azure-mobile.net tables, and here is the table name, right? If I have to read data from this table, I just have to do a get, and in the headers I need to say what kind of data I accept. So I accept only application/JSON. That means I need JSON, and you need to pass a very specific header called x-zumo-application. There you go, the Zumo that I was talking about. That's the code name that they use for Azure Mobile Services. So you need to say x-zumo-application and then pass your key, and when I click on send, you will see now it makes a call to Azure Mobile Services backend and it will get the data. So we have only one record, right? Remember, I deleted everything else and then kept only one record. And there we go. We have ID. That's the ID of the item that is there. The text is prefer webinar. Is it complete? No, it's false. So that's it. So that's as easy it can get. I can actually go and then create data also on the fly. So let's say I need to do an HTTP post, and I will say I'll accept only application/JSON. Again, XZoomo application is so host. I can remove the host. The content type is application/JSON, and then in the body, all I need to do is send the JSON. I'll say deliver the webinar completed, no, and I'll say send, and it's already created. So let's go back to a get and then see how much data we get. So this time we get two data. There's already prepped the webinar and then there's a deliver the webinar. Now our Azure Mobile Services backend is set up. Let's go and then create the hybrid mobile application now. Let's speed up a little bit now because it's already 12:50. In 10 minutes I need to finish this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat a lot here, and I'll go copy paste couple of things. I'll explain what I'm doing because it is easier to paste instead of you seeing me code, but you will get the point what I'm trying to do. So let me open that file. That's the index.html, and as you can see, everything starts from here. Just give me a second. So with Kendo UI applications, what we need to do is we start with what we call as a layout. So I'm going to just draw a layout here. So in the layout, all I'm saying is, hey, you know what? Data dash role layout. I'm giving it a ID, and then I say data dash role is a header. So I want a header on my layout, and in the header I want to keep a navigation bar, and in the navigation bar I want to keep a view title. So that's all. So there's no data here. Why? Because the data will come at runtime from the views. So what I'm going to do now is right click on my Solution Explorer, add a folder, and I will call that as views, and I'll again right click and then add a new folder, call it as scripts, and I will just give me a second. My mouse is kind of snapping. And I also create a folder called as styles. and new folder, styles. Now, first and foremost, what we need to do is we will need to create a page, and I will call it as home.html. Come on, I clicked on new file, and we should see an HTML page coming. So I'll call it as home.html for now. So in the home.html, what we are supposed to do is first let me just clear all these things because we don't need all these things. And the only thing that I need is I need to say so all I'm saying is, hey, this is a div, ID is home, data dash role is view, the title for this is to dos, and then the layout it has to use is main. Remember we created a layout. So I'm going to just create home, and let's see, there's one more thing we need to do, and that is to start the application. So what we need to do is in the scripts file, I'm going to add a JavaScript file and I call it as app.js. And in the app.js, I'm going to instantiate our Kendo UI mobile application. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say function. I'm creating a immediately invoking function now. So I will say I'm passing the window object. And this is how you should be writing your JavaScripts too. So create it's like a module within your application. So now I can say where app is equal to global.app is equal to global.app, or so all I'm doing is I'm trying to see if the app object is already created at the window level. If not, created as an empty object. Then I will say document.event listener. And I'm waiting for device ready. I'm attaching myself to the device ready event. I said, like, when the device is ready, I want you to create a new Kendo mobile application. Take the document.body, convert that into Kendo mobile application. Use this skin called Noah. That's the new skin that we have put up. And I want to use slide transition for any navigation that I will be doing. The initial page that you should show is views/home.html. So let me click on save. And now what I'm going to do is in the run, we have this thing called as in simulator, run in simulator. So I'm going to click on run in simulator. It has gone to my other screen. Let me bring it back here. So we are waiting for, oh, I know what mistake I did. I created the app.js, but I never included that in the files, right? So what you need to do is, let me grab this line, go to the bottom before body, and then I'll say app.js. And this is available in scripts. And there we go. So we have a mobile application. So this is now running in iPhone 6 Plus. I can see how this looks in iPhone. I can see how this looks in iPhone 6. I can see how this looks in iPad. I can see how this looks in Android phone. I can see how this looks in Android tablet. And you get the point, right? So this is what we provide you with respect to app builder, complete simulator which can actually simulate a lot of devices. You don't have to worry about how does this work in this particular device or anything. So it simulates that particular device, and then you can actually quickly take a look at the code. Not only that, we do something called as live sync, meaning so here is my code, right? Let me go to home.html, and then what I can do is I'll change some text here, right? The moment I click Control yes on the editor, you will see that the right hand side reflects the change, right? You see that right hand side, it reflected. So you don't have to save, come back here, refresh. You don't have to do any of those things. So we do a live sync between your code and the simulator. And not only that, this live sync works well across devices also. If you have a device connected to your system, that is, if I connect an Android or an iPhone or a Windows phone onto my Windows laptop now, the app builder will be able to detect it and then push this changes simultaneously to all the devices. So that's as cool as it can get with our thing. So now let's start doing a couple of things now. So we have created the index.html, home.html is done. Now what app.js is done. So app.js is just a bootstrapping, meaning it just creates the Kendo UI mobile application and that's it. So now what we need to do is, let me take a little bit of more screen here. We'll go to scripts folder and I'll create a new script called as config.js. And in the config.js, all I'm going to do is, remember the we need a couple of stuff, so I'll just paste that. I'll show you what I'm doing. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a Zumo URL and then Zumo key. So I need to know what URL I need to ping, and then I need to know the Zumo key that I need to use, and that's it. So I'm going to save this, go to index.html, and then add this config.js. So let it be there. Once config.js is done, I'm going to go ahead and then do another file called as home.js. So typically in a mobile application, I like to keep the view and then a corresponding JS file. So we have a home.html. I'm trying to create a home.js file for that. Let me rename this. There's a mistake. There you go. And then what I want to do is I want to go ahead and then so in the home.js, I'm going to go and then do something here. Let me show that. So I'm going to create a view model so that I can bind it to my the screen. So I'm going to say kendo.data.observableObject.extend, and of course we need to have a to-do text, meaning user will enter a to-do text. So I'm going to keep it like this, and I will say completed is false for now. And what we can do is we can, so I remember I talked about Kendo UI data source. So I can just come in here and then say new kendo.data.data source. And just to showcase how this works, I can come in and then create a static data here. And in the static data, what I'm going to do is I will have text is task 1 completed colon false, and I'll create one more just to showcase what is happening, and I will say task 2, right? And then this is how my view model is done. And I'll pass the window object here. Now in order to we haven't done anything, we need to say home.js. So I will say app dot to do view model is equal to new to do view model. So I'm just creating a new instance of the to do view model. So that is done. Now I'm going to go to home.html, and then I'll before that let me copy a couple of styles that I need. So app.css, and let me paste whatever I need. This is what I was talking about cheating, I just don't have time to sit and type now. So I'm going to go to home.html. What I want to do is I want to say I want this particular screen to use a model, and the model is just now we created that to do view model, right? And we just to do TODO view model. Yeah, so that's it. Then I need a form to create the to-dos, right? So what I've done is I've created something like, what needs to be done, right? So this is the thing. And then if you can see on the right hand side, okay, I haven't included the CSS file. Just give me a second. So this is styles and then app.css. And there we go. So what I've done is, let me select iPhone 6 Plus, it comes neatly. So what I've done is I've created a div, and I said what needs to be done, and then I put an input tag so that user can enter data here. You can say like, I want to do this task, It's not responding to me. What happened? Just give me a second. Let me relaunch it again. So let me explain what I'm doing. So I have an input tag and then I have a button. Notice how I'm doing data binding. Since I said this particular page can use this model, the view model, notice here. So I have a to do text property on the view model. So I've done a data binding here. I said to data bind value to do text, and then I have a button. So this button is supposed to add a new to do item. So I have said events click on add. So call this function on the view model, right? And here is let me remove this for, oh yeah, we need to show the template also. So what I've done is I've kept a unordered list, and then I've set the data dash role as list view, and then it needs data to show, right? So I've set source to do data source events click on delete. So let me remove this for a while now. I don't have anything as of now. And then data template is how should each item be shown, right? So that is what this means. And now let me go back to home.js. Everything is fine. The home.html is also fine. Let me launch the simulator now. And here when oh, something happened. I know what happened. So because I need to issue a read function on this. So what I'm going to do is I will say home.js. I'll create an event here and I say on after show function, and here all I need to do is I'll get the view, and I'll say view dot model dot get to do data source dot read off. We just have to issue a read to that particular data source, otherwise it won't, because we are putting a static data. If this were to be connected with the Azure mobile services, it will automatically go and then do the thing. So that's the next thing that we'll do. I'm just showcasing how we can do these things easily with Kendo UI. And we need to come back here and then say data dash after show is equal to app dot to do view model dot on after show. So after the view is shown, I want you to go and then, okay, I missed something. So let me check where to do view model, this on after show, home.html, to do view model. Yeah, everything seems correct. Let me do a refresh again. I've undefined app.to-do view model. Just give me a second. Let me just see what is happening. Where did I go wrong? Okay, so let's come back. Let's go one by one. And after show, okay, we just have to do var that is equal to this. So I'll get that. Okay, and then I just have to say that dot model dot get dot to do. Okay, I know this was the mistake casing. Sorry, I clicked some of the wrong button. Let me get this going. Huh? Did I make any mistake here? To do text, to do data source. On after show, it's a function. To-do view model is equal to kendo data observable object dot extend. It closes here. On after show. To-do view model. Home. Just give me a second. Okay, I think it should work now. Huh. What is happening? To-do view model after show. Cannot read property. Oh, I know. I always make this mistake. So we created a home.js, but we never added that home.js to the index.html. Without this, it won't work. So there we go. So we got the, so let's go back here, home, on after show. So I'm going to do on after show, this.model.get. Just give me a second. Cannot read property get of undefined. That dot model dot get to do data source dot read, and sorry about that. So let me do one thing. I already have something built up, so I don't know which step I am missing. So let me switch my code. I practiced a couple of times and then I don't know where I'm missing my script. Okay, let me show you what I've already built. So this is the code that you would typically, we will use. So there is a to-do view model, and then what I've done is I've encapsulated the data source out of the, the view file itself. So what I've done is I created a separate file, and here is the kendo.data.data source. Type is, so what I've done is I'm telling the data source that it is connecting to a service which is basically a JSON-based service. Each item has a primary key called ID. And this is how you set up to read from a any JSON service. So you just say transport read. What is the URL where I should read? Data type. What data type can I expect from the server? So it's usually a JSON that I need. And you just need to set the header X Zumo application, and here's the Zumo key. And for creating, all you need to do is create URL app, and then say the data type, and then content type. What am I sending? I'm sending application/JSON, or the content type that I'm sending is application/JSON. And then again, you're doing a post, and you will say again the Zumo application. And this is important. So what we need to do is till it actually goes to a server, it is still a JavaScript object. So when it is going on the wire, we need to convert that into a JSON string. So we do if you're doing a create or update, stringify that particular JavaScript object. So it will create a JSON string out of the object. And I've exposed this as a data.todo. So in the home.js, what I'm doing is I said to-do data source is nothing but app.data.todos. And on after show, I'm calling the read method. And when I'm adding, what I'm doing is I'm just calling ds.add payload and then sync. This is all it takes for you to create a CRUD operation with Kendo UI data source. It works for web, it works for mobile, it works for everything, right? And if you look at the home.html, the UI is the same. I have the list view coming up here, and then I have the to-do list. Let me run this. I'm sorry, we are 10 minutes overboard, so just bear with me for a couple of seconds, and then we'll see how we integrate this with Azure Mobile Service. So now I'm actually integrated it. So now the day screen has to come up. And there you go. It is going to the server now. You see that the middle portion, you have a loading thing coming up. My machine is super loaded, so that's why it's slow. Just give me a second. Let me close what all the things that I don't need. And there we go. So we are getting 2 items from the server, right? So let's go back to Zumo here. So it's connecting to this. And if I look at the data, to do item, and we have two items here: deliver the webinar, prep for webinar. So that's what you see here. It says prep for webinar, deliver for webinar, right? Let's go back to the code once again. Let me show you the Kendo UI data source, how easy it is. So I created a new Kendo data source. I've said the data source is now going to be interacting with a service which exchanges data in JSON format, or you can say, like, it's connecting to a JSON service. And I've set the data source that when you get the data back from server, each item will have an identity key, or primary key, whose name is ID. Then this is where you set up where should I read, where should the data source go for getting the data. So here's the read. So I've set read URL is so and so, and I'm passing the Zumo application key because that is required. And then while creating, again, I'm saying, where it should go and then push the data. That is all, you need to set up. You don't have to do anything else in order to create a record, right? Except calling this line at ds.add, what is the new item, and then call a sync method. As soon as you call ds or syncs, what happens is the data source figures out how many records are dirty, how many records are actually to be created, how many records have to be deleted. So it will automatically ping all those URLs. So I can come back here to the data source and then do one more couple of things. That is, I can set up an update, and I can set up a delete also. So it will automatically go and then do the CRUD for me. I don't have to do anything. So currently, in the interest of the time, what I've done is I've just showcased the adding. So if you see here, ds.add payload, ds.sync, it just goes and then sync. So let me do that. So I'm going to say deliver the webinar. So prepare demos is what I want to do. So let me show you network also, so that you can see it's actually going to the server. So there we go. It is to do item 201. If I click on that, it says https telplat demo azure mobile.net tables to do item. And if we go back to the Azure and refresh, we should see the third item coming up now. There we go, prepare demos, right? Completed is false. The text is prepare demo. Similarly, I can come back here and then maybe do something like execute demos, and we have it. And if we come back to the Azure mobile service, there we go. So we have execute demos. So that is all it takes with Telerik platform, or with Telerik app builder, or with the Kendo UI. You literally are not writing code, rather you're just setting up how things needs to work, right? I didn't have time to finish the delete. I will finish it, and then maybe put up this code so that if anybody else wants to make use of this, so they can. So I'll kind of put it on my GitHub and then give the URL. So that's pretty much what we wanted to showcase with, how do you integrate Telerik platform with Azure mobile services. A simple concept that I wanted to showcase. I didn't want to create a complex demo because that would take away, how easy it is to create things. The more complex things that you start seeing, it's like, oh, I need to do a lot of things. Instead, the to-do item is a very simple. So you saw how I can actually communicate with the Azure mobile services, read, write. So typically, I can also do updates and then deletes, okay? So that's pretty much about the demo. So thank you very much for joining us today, and I hope you learned something new today, and we hope to see you again. Let me stop the recording now.